today a little bit about the difference between Pardot and Marketing Cloud, because one of the big questions we get is that there's two different automation tools coming from Salesforce. So what's the difference? When should I be recommending one over another to a client, or even for my own business, when should I be using one tool or the other? So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And thank you for the introduction, Bilal. It was a great one. And I have to say, I feel like cheating on those certifications, because there are so many marketing automation certifications that that fills up that list pretty quickly. But I am currently working with Supermoms, transitioning into freelance soon, and a marketing champion this year, which has been a lot of fun to engage and share with that community. And like you said, I'm a mom of 3 myself, so love sharing with other moms and getting them into the ecosystem. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about what is a marketing automation tool in the first place, because I know we're all coming here to this presentation with different levels of experience, and you may know what a marketing automation tool is. You may have just heard Pardot and Marketing Cloud before. So we'll start there, and then we'll build up to the differences between the two and actually the similarities as well. So we'll add a little bit in here. Then we'll have a demo time. We're going to try to do a live demo, because I'm loving these live presentations and actually being able to interact with all of you. And while a live demo can be really scary and nerve-wracking, we'll give it a shot. And also, how should I choose? What are some questions that you should ask yourself or your clients that you're working with to help to choose between the two tools? And then we'll look at some additional resources, because out there in the Trailblazer community, in the Ohana in general, and from Salesforce themselves, really, there's so many different resources that you can go to look at some of the differences between the tools and even just learn more about them. So do come with your questions. We'll have some time for question and answer at the end as well, hopefully. And I look forward to seeing all of them in the chat. So what is marketing automation, and why should I be using it as a business? Well, have you ever seen those huge companies out there who you're so impressed with their marketing and how much they're able to do and how much engagement, how much interaction they have with you? And then have you ever gone away and seen the actual size of their marketing team? Some companies are doing amazing marketing campaigns, amazing marketing engagement with their users, and really this great lead generation, all with a team of maybe 3 or 4 people. So that is where marketing automation comes into play. It's a tool that's going to help you to create all of this really rich nurture journeys, this rich email engagements on any different channel, really, not even just through email, and be getting to your customers, but also increasing your ROI. So you're creating all of this in advance. It's all reusable, so that your marketing team, rather than writing emails and sending out a blast email all the time and having that be the constant use of their time, they're actually able to innovate and create new ways to engage with your customers. And that's how such a small team can have such a huge impact. And it is very much so thanks to marketing automation tools. So now that we know a little bit about what marketing automation is in the first place, we'll go ahead and move into the good stuff. So what is the difference between these two tools? Pardot and Marketing Cloud are both sold by Salesforce. They're both Salesforce products. They both work with Salesforce, but they're sold as 2 very different products. And sometimes it's hard to understand the difference between the two. Now, I just have to say a little disclaimer that I love both tools equally, so I do not choose favorites between the two. I have used Pardot at Supermoms for many years now, and I have been running the course at Supermoms on Marketing Cloud for a couple of years now. So I've been able to get my hands on both tools, really be able to use them to see their impact, to be able to build things on them. And I would say that they both have their own personality, their own characteristics as tool sets, and they're going to be very useful in their own manners. And even sometimes Salesforce will package them together, because you can use the two tools together. That being said, there's a fee behind each one of those. And I don't know very many organizations, especially being in the nonprofit sector myself, that could afford having both of them. But there are some out there who do that. So you hear the terms B2B and B2C pretty often. Pardot is sold as the B2B tool. That means that it's business to business. It's focusing on those really large audiences. And who is your customer base? A business to business is you as a business selling to other businesses. So we look at this tool as a very account-based tool. You're even now able to add accounts to campaigns and be selling to accounts instead. But that doesn't mean that it can't be used for B2C, because that's how we use it. So while it is a B2B tool, I would never rule out B2C. And likewise for Marketing Cloud. Marketing Cloud is a B2C tool, so business to client or business to customer. And that means that we're focusing more on the individual. And that does get into the meat of things a little bit, because Pardot is going to be for a longer lead journey. It's probably going to be that your subscriptions, your products that you're selling, whatever it is that you're trying to get people to do as a call to action, that it's more of that slow turn, that it needs to be done over time, and that it may potentially be a larger purchase. Marketing Cloud, on the other hand, is going to be more of the idea of reaching people on an individual level. So you are focusing more so on the customer, on the individual themselves, and you're able to create these really complex nurture journeys. So we'll see that there are nurture journeys in both tools. Marketing Cloud, you can do a little bit more there. You can get a little bit more complex, and it's a very powerful tool. I would also say that it depends on your channel of communication. How are you looking to target your customers at the end of the day? Are you looking at just doing email campaigns? Pardot's your tool. Pardot is amazing for email. But when you start to get into other tools like SMS, then you have to purchase third-party apps in order to be able to do that, and then your fees go up. That's another point as well, is that Pardot is a less expensive tool. So sometimes companies will have a tendency of going straight to Pardot because they say, okay, it's less expensive. We want to get the ball rolling. We just want to get our marketing automation tools off the ground and see what we can do. And they may go with Pardot, but not thinking about 5 years down the road when they want to be using SMS, paid advertising, all of these different channels, maybe social. You can hit a customer on any channel, really. And even things like Facebook. If you're going to be using Facebook for messages to your clients, then you can have all of that in-app messaging, or even in-app messaging on a application that you've built yourselves. If you're thinking of doing all of that in a couple of years' time, you may want to think about Marketing Cloud instead, because Marketing Cloud, it has all of that built into it. You do have to pay for certain tools like paid advertising and advertising studio. It's going to be an extra cost and an extra tool on top of it. But at the end of the day, it may not be as expensive as adding all of those tool sets to Pardot. And you're able to bring those into your marketing engagements, to those nurture journeys, a little bit easier. Another difference between the two is that Pardot is built on Salesforce. We'll see in our demo in a little bit that Pardot, to get into it now, as of February of a year and a half ago, I believe it was, maybe last year, it's what used to be a standalone product. Now you have to have a Salesforce license to access your Pardot. So they've made it so that Pardot is very much built into Salesforce. Salesforce is your data source for Pardot. You can have data coming in from other places. You can have prospects only stored in Pardot that aren't in Salesforce yet, but your plan is to get them into Salesforce. Whereas Marketing Cloud is what we call product agnostic. That means that Pardot Marketing Cloud, while a Salesforce product and often sold with Salesforce, you can connect to Salesforce with the Marketing Cloud Connect and have some really, really great use of your data, and using Marketing Cloud or Salesforce as your single source of data. Marketing Cloud can be used without Salesforce. So Marketing Cloud can be used with HubSpot, with any sort of data warehouse that you're using, any tool, any place. It can be integrated into Marketing Cloud. So if you have a really complex data structure, if you're pulling in data from all different sources, Marketing Cloud may be the way to go for you. So we often talk about what your team will need, because if you're implementing a marketing automation tool, whether it's for a client or in-house, you'll need somebody who's able to maintain that. We talk about that in Salesforce all the time. You need an administrator, you need a consultancy to be able to maintain your system, to be able to make changes, to keep growing, to even react to release updates and release periods. The same goes for marketing automation. So Pardot is what I would say is a slightly easier tool to learn for in-house talent. It has a nice WYSIWYG editor. It is very point and click friendly. You don't have to do a lot of code to use it. You can, but you don't have to. Marketing Cloud, on the other hand, it is a very complex tool. If you want to get the most out of it, if you really want to be getting your ROI out of Marketing Cloud and using personalization and all of your data to drive your email journeys or drive your customer journeys, then you probably will need some more technical talent on the Marketing Cloud side. Even for those integrations, you may need a developer to help write some of those integrations in for you. You may be learning AmpScript, which is a Marketing Cloud specific language, to be able to not only do personalization in emails, but also build in logic and to be able to do calculations and change your data, manage your data. There's just so much that you can do with AmpScript. You can also use server-side JavaScript. You can use SQL for really high advanced audience targeting. And all of those tools, all of those skill sets are going to be very powerful with the Marketing Cloud tool. So it is going to be a slightly higher investment in time in that skill set, whether you're training somebody in-house or if you're looking to bring that talent in through a consultancy or through hiring somebody. So those are a few of the differences. And now I will go ahead and bring us into a demo, and we're going to see some things that are the same as well. So we saw the WYSIWYG editor. You do not need to know HTML. You can, and you can be improving your emails and taking them to the next level if you do know HTML, but you don't need to be know HTML to create beautiful, rich emails in either tool. So that's just one of the similarities that we'll see here. So I'm actually going to stop my screen share and we're going to hop into Pardot. So Pardot, as you can see, I'm already in Salesforce. And let me just make this a little bit bigger so that everybody here does not have to squint or buy glasses after my session. So here we're in Pardot. This is Pardot Lightning. For those of you, if it doesn't look familiar, it may be that you're still in Pardot Classic. We're starting to encourage people in Salesforce to move towards Lightning as part. They just recently announced that Pardot Classic will be retiring. So you're in Pardot, you have this nice dashboard. And you have all of your prospects in here. So GDPR note, all of these are dummy data, so you're not seeing any real people in here, just so that you know. And you have all of your prospects. So around any individual person, you do have a lot of data that you would be able to see in Salesforce. You have their name, you have their company, you can be bringing in different fields as well and creating your own custom fields. And then we see what we call a score and a grade here as well. This is one of the really powerful things about Pardot. If you are very sales driven and sales focused, if you are trying to use Pardot really as a marketing tool to be able to nurture people so that they're marketing qualified leads before handing them over to your sales team and allowing your sales team to utilize their time only contacting those people that are really hot leads and ready to go over the line as a sale, then Pardot is the right tool for you. And this is one of the big differences when people are starting to decide between Pardot and Marketing Cloud, because Marketing Cloud, I have heard of people implementing solutions where you can build scoring and potentially even grading in, but it's going to be a lot of effort. It's going to be a lot of upkeep. If you're looking for this, then it's built into Pardot. So what is a score? A score is how people engage with you over time. Each time a person fills out a form, lands on a landing page, opens an email, clicks on an email, you can be deciding or engaging with you in any way, even manually, you can be inputting scores or adding onto them. Then they add on to their score. And likewise, if they get a form error or if you have a conversation with them and you say, okay, they're absolutely not interested, you can lower their score as well. So your score goes up and down, and it's based on the customer's engagement and their interest with you. So Justine looks like a really good person to start to hand over. She's got almost 8,000 points. She's probably been with us for a while or really engaged with us either way. She's probably somebody we want our sales team to start talking to. Whereas maybe Trevor, we're going to give him a little bit more time in this marketing funnel and our marketing engagements to build up his engagement score. But every once in a while, you'll get a person who is really engaged, really high score, but they're still not worth your sales team's time. Why is that? It may be that they're a competitor of yours, or it may just be that they have the exact opposite profile of the type of client that you're targeting or that you're normally working with. You can even have it so that you only target executive level because they have purchasing power, that you may not want to contact somebody quite as quickly if they are lower level, if they would have to go through other people to be able to get any purchases made. So it really helps your salespeople to target with a grade. A grade is going to be how interested you should be in them. How close are they to that ideal profile of a customer? And the grades, they're like grades, at least in the US. Okay, if you hear my accent, I am in France and have been here for the past 10 years, but I'm American and grew up, born and raised there. And in a school, we have letter grades. We have A+ all the way down to F. Pardot is the same thing. So there's 10 different increments in between all of those, and you can move people up and down based off of data that you're storing on them. It may be job title, it may be company, it may be region, but you can customize that to your use case. And the combination of grade and score is how we decide who's qualified to go over to sales leads. So somebody with a really great score and a really great grade, we're probably going to hand them over. Even if Justine had an excellent score, but if she was an F, we wouldn't want to hand them over to sales. So that is one of the functionalities of Pardot that doesn't exist in Marketing Cloud, and a really great use of it. Some other things that we'll look at are just our Pardot emails. So we have Pardot, you work off of email templates. So you can create these reusable templates and then send your email based off of those. So you can have your sent emails, you can build them into a calendar. All of that functionality is going to be the same as Marketing Cloud. You can create scheduled sends in Marketing Cloud. And the interface to create email content. So if we come in here and hop into one of our emails, let's see if I have one sitting here just in my demo org. We do. We have a nice webinar invitation. So we can come in and edit the draft to see our nice WYSIWYG editor. So it's a nice drag and drop tool that you can come in, you can add text, you can add images, and even there's some great tools out there by the Pardot community around adding buttons into it. You can also interact with the HTML, you can see a preview, and then you can also see what it'll look like as a text version and change that as well, because this probably wouldn't be that great if you're not getting HTML emails. And then our very last thing that we're going to look at, because Pardot is huge and we could spend a lot of time in here, but we don't want to play favorites, as I said, is our Engagement Studio. So Engagement Studio is going to be that lead nurture journey where somebody comes into an Engagement Studio and we say that there's an upcoming event. And we will definitely zoom in on this one a bit, but we can have what you see is a really complex nurture journey where your customer goes through the journey, they get sent an email, and we have wait periods. And you can do things in Salesforce, you can send them emails, you can notify users, you can adjust scores, you can look for forms and whether they were completed or not, and send people down different routes, different channels based off of their interaction, based off of the data that you're using, storing on them. So you will see that this is basically the equivalent of Journey Builder in Marketing Cloud, but I have always found that Engagement Studio, while it's great for email, it's where it is lacking if you're using other channels, and the engagements aren't quite to the same level as they are in Journey Builder. So we'll see that in a second. But it is a very equivalent tool, a very useful one, and you can be doing a lot of great marketing automation using this. And it's the idea that you set all of this up, and then you can have people automatically getting inputted into the journey when they fill out a form, for example. You don't have to do anything. And that's how those really small teams make a really big impact. So with that, we're going to say goodbye to Pardot for now and hop on into Marketing Cloud. So if we are in Marketing Cloud, you can see that it's a very different look and feel. Marketing Cloud, actually both tools were acquisitions, but Marketing Cloud was acquired a little bit later on. It was ExactTarget before, and built on a very different architecture. So it is a standalone product. That's why you'll see that there's Marketing Cloud, and I actually have the Salesforce instance. Please do pardon me, it's in Classic. But we have our Salesforce instance that is connected to our Marketing Cloud. So you can still use the two of them together, but it's not built directly in. Pardot you access through the app launcher here, just the same as you would with any of your other Salesforce apps. So Marketing Cloud, we have all of our different tools, all of our different studios. You will see things like Mobile Studio, Advertising Studio, Interaction Studio. These are additional purchases that you would make, additional tools that you can use, but really useful ones. And especially over the past couple of years, Interaction Studio has become huge because you can turn off the noise for your customers. You can target them with specific messages, prioritize one campaign over another. And that's the kind of thing that it's very difficult to do in Pardot. You can do it to some degree, but it's not going to be as powerful as of a tool. Even in Marketing Cloud, you can have blackout periods. So you may say that my audience is based in a certain region, and I know that there's a holiday coming up, and I don't want people to be getting messages with sales pitches over the holidays. I know that they're not interested in hearing from me. My emails are probably just going to end up in a junk folder or not opened. I want to be respectful of my customers. I wanted to turn that campaign off, use a blackout period. So all of that is built into Marketing Cloud, built into these tools that you can use. And we'll hop into Email Studio because in Pardot, we looked at our emails, and I want to show you that it's just as easy in Marketing Cloud. So we have all of our emails here. We're able to engage with our subscribers, engage with our data. The data model is going to be a little bit, well, not a little bit, it's going to be more complex in Marketing Cloud, which can be a good thing or a bad thing because you can do more with it. You can go further with that data model. Whereas with Pardot, you are limited with the prospect or how much data you can sync with Salesforce and the direction of that sync. So that's where, especially if you're using a lot of different data sources, if you have data warehouses all over the place, then it will be really useful to use a tool like Marketing Cloud instead. So we'll come into our email here. This is just one that was already created that I created before this. Actually, this is one that is an HTML email, so we won't be able to engage with it quite the same way. Let's come back in here to another. But we have our case survey. So we have a nice little survey. You can build buttons directly into Marketing Cloud. It's not as easy of a drag and drop tool in Pardot yet. We're all hoping that it'll come, and there are some really great user-made tools out there in the ecosystem to be able to bring buttons into Pardot emails, but it's much easier on the Marketing Cloud side. There's also going to be things like dynamic content in Marketing Cloud, where you can have different images showing up for different people. That's actually what this one is all the way down here at the bottom. Based off of the interest that we're storing on somebody, then we can show them either an image of hiking, an image of camping, or just a general image if we don't have that information on them. So it's really easy to personalize your emails for your audience. That's not to say that personalization can't be built into Pardot. but it's not quite as declarative as of a setup. It does take a little bit more effort there. And then you're able to drag and drop your different content blocks. You're able to do things like A/B tests to see what content works best based off of your audience and make those data-driven decisions. And even insert code snippets, text, image, and use layouts to be able to easily change the layout of your email. One of the things about Pardot is that you have to have an email template made before being able to build your email off of that template. Here we can come in from scratch and say that we just want to start with a blank. We can build it off of template. We can build it off of HTML. We can just go with a blank email with a couple boxes in it that we can start to drag and drop things into. And then we can go all the way through and see how this email will look and all of the great content in here. So that is our emails in Marketing Cloud. We're able to interact with all of our data. Great things like Automation Studio for being able to do all of our ETL, our extract, transform, load with our data. And then our journeys. So we are, for the sake of time, skipping a lot of tools in here, but journeys are going to be the thing that if you are talking to an account executive in Salesforce or really just anybody and they're trying to sell you onto a tool, they will show you a journey. And that is because there are some amazing things that you can do in here. So once again, I'm going to blow this up so that nobody squints. And you can see this is just actually a template of a journey. So these are pre-created, already there for you, and then you can come in and customize them. And I showed one of these today because it shows how easy out of the box you have this re-engagement journey. You can launch it off of different data sources. So you can use your Salesforce data as a launching point or any other data source, listening to an event that's firing in your system. And then send out an email, have wait periods, have things like engagement splits where we're listening to how somebody engaged with that email that we just sent. Did they open it? Did they click it? If they did, then we send them down different paths. And this is where a journey can be really simple. Say that this is kind of an intermediate one. You can get really, really complex with your journeys to a point where two friends may be going into the same customer journey with the same brand, but they're two individual people. They have their own interests. They have their own data that we're storing on them. They may not have at all the same experience going through the same journey. And that's one of the really powerful things about Journey Builder is how complex, how you can pull in different types of engagements. We have all of these different great activities here. So you can engage on different channels. You can send messages to inboxes, push notifications through apps that you've created yourself, in-app messages if we're sending through Facebook. They just came out with WhatsApp last year as an integration as well. You can have line messages. And then you have all of these great ways of creating your paths and deciding how you want to engage with people. And then you can even do things in Salesforce. So you can update your data in Salesforce based off of how somebody interacted with you. And it's some really rich content, rich journeys that you can create here. So I know that we are going to be getting to time here. So I do want to go ahead and jump back in and up. I hope I didn't lose my screen here. So we are going to be hopping back into my slides. And I do apologize. I just had a second screen issue. So I'm going to go ahead and share this one more time. One of the joys of doing live demos, but it's definitely worth it. And then we'll hop into some questions. So you may be saying, oh, both of those tools look really good. I don't know which one to choose. So that's what we're here for today, is to see what the tools look like on the back end, because that's not always something we have access to. And then also to ask yourself some questions. So what is the size of your database? Typically, once again, I say this is typically because it can be different depending on the business case, on the customer, on your use case. But typically, Pardot is sold for a smaller database. And you would have a higher sales price point. So whatever it is that you're selling, it may be a little bit more expensive than in Marketing Cloud, where Marketing Cloud is great for industry vectors such as retail. It has a very large retail vector. It integrates seamlessly with Commerce Cloud, for example. So you can get on all of your online commerce information into your marketing journeys. So that is one question and one consideration that may help to influence your decision. The other is the channels of communication. So always think about yourself in 5 years. When you're making a purchasing decision, don't make that purchasing decision or even a Salesforce solution decision based on what's happening right now. Think down the road in 5 years where you want to be, where your business wants to be. And what channels of communication do you think you're going to need? Are you using SMS, paid advertising, or are your campaigns mostly virtual, or is there a strong in-person element? Pardot is great for forms. So in person, if you're using forms and having people go to events and sell at events, I know that right now that's not happening as much. But if you are thinking that that might be in your future of going back to our what we call our new normal, then that is a huge consideration to take into account, because you may want to go with Pardot with all of those great built-in forms. Which departments are involved? This is one that I did put in here because it is a big consideration on quite a few of the blogs and things like that that are out there. I like to say that you can use both tools, whatever department you're in, and that really a marketing automation tool to get the most ROI out of it, you should be using it across multiple different departments. But traditionally, Pardot is used more for marketing engagement. You're getting those marketing qualified leads, you're handing them over to sales. If you're sales and marketing focused, you may want to go with Pardot. Whereas if you are looking for engagements, I like to say that Marketing Cloud is an engagement tool. It's with whatever department and creating those engagements with your customer over an entire lifetime. You may want to have a whole journey that is around case support, and after somebody submits a case with you, being able to engage with them that way. So Marketing Cloud is one of the tools that is engagements over a whole customer life cycle. And then the last question I have here for you is, what resources do you have? Do you have somebody who is technically minded on your team, or are you willing to bring those in? Or are you bringing in a consultant or upskilling in-house? Pardot, like I said, it's the easier tool to get thrown into. You can, I would always encourage getting some sort of training going into a tool so that you're using best practices, so that you're using it to the best of your advantage and really getting the most out of the tool. But Pardot is going to generally be a quicker learn than Marketing Cloud. Like I said, Marketing Cloud is just a huge tool. It's a complex tool, and you can do so much with it, but it's a steeper learning curve. So at this point, I have some additional resources, and I will share out the link to this presentation so that you can have all of these in the chats here at the end of my presentation. But there's some great resources around which tool to choose. And I have listed just a few of them. I would always recommend a nice Google search. You'll find even more, I'm sure. But the Drip has some excellent information about Marketing Cloud versus Pardot, and even best practices and different blogs, different information about those tools. So it's the marketing focus section of Salesforce Ben, which I'm pretty sure that if you're familiar with Salesforce, you probably know Salesforce Ben. MarCloud Consulting also has an excellent article around the difference between the two, and they are marketing automation focused consultancy. So another good one to look at. PieSync as well, Anif Cloud has a great one, and then Supermoms will be coming out with our own blog at the beginning of next week, so check in with us. We're happy to share some of the differences that you've seen today. So additional resources to learn as well, because if you're here, it may be that you're not on the purchasing side of things, that you're looking to learn, whether it's in-house or as a consultant, just to be able to build out your toolkit. So first place to learn, Trailhead. Trailhead has some excellent modules around Pardot and Marketing Cloud. I would say that since I've started teaching Marketing Cloud, I have seen Trailhead explode with Marketing Cloud content, which is fantastic to see. The lack for both of them is a practice space. So it's really hard to get your hands on an environment. They do have things in Marketing Cloud like a simulator so that you can pretend that you're in a real Marketing Cloud instance and follow along clicking with them. So you can get a beginner look and feel. Otherwise, it's great to take a course. If you take any Trailhead Academy course, then you get access to those trial orgs with the Trailhead Academy course for a short time. Or if you start to work with a customer, or if you're a partner, you can request a partner org, and you can use that for a little bit of learning. The Trailblazer community groups, there is so much great information, especially around marketing out there. There are amazing boot camps around Pardot, Marketing Cloud. I'll be joining one actually next month around Marketing Cloud admin and a boot camp to learn a little bit more about that skill set. So especially if you're looking at studying up for an exam or just exploring different tools, there's some interaction studio ones. There's so much great content, and a lot of them share everything out after the fact on YouTube. So you can always go and have a look at what's there. And also take a course. You can take a course through Trailhead Academy, through a partner like Supermoms. There's some other great partners out there as well on the Trailhead website. But you can get hands-on practice spaces for that. So if you are really looking at breaking into the tool and have no access, that may be a good way to go. So at this point, I'll open it up to any questions. I think we do have a little bit of time here, and I'll start to go through the chat to see if there are any. And I do have all of my social information. So on LinkedIn, just search for my name. There's not very many Vicky Moritz Henrys out there. And find me on Twitter. I'd love to chat with anybody if you have any further questions after. So I have Nadia. If you learn Marketing Cloud, would you be able to use and configure Pardot too, or are they completely different to administer? I would say they are completely different tools, so you do have to learn each of them. But coming from Marketing Cloud and going into Pardot after, I would say that Marketing Cloud being a more complex tool, you're probably going to pick up on Pardot really easily. So it's almost like coming from HubSpot to Salesforce or something like that. They're both CRMs at the end of the day, and Pardot being the easier tool, you'll probably pick up on it quick.
Vicky, we have some question in the QA section of the chat.
Oh.
So if you respond in the QA section, Mark Jones has some questions.
Oh, thanks, Bilal. I'll hop over there too. So yes, great. Nice to see you, Mark. I've not used Marketing Cloud at all yet, but is it possible to fire other journeys and journey builders similar to something like Subflows? Not quite to the same degree. You can't have a sub journey the same that you can with Subflows, but what you could be doing is putting the information somewhere. So on a data extension, for example, in Marketing Cloud, data extensions are just lists of data. You can think of it as a spreadsheet, basically, and you can have it that information going onto a data extension and then launching another journey based off of that data extension. So in Subflows, you would call another flow. In Marketing Cloud, you would be using your data to launch that other journey off the back of it. And is Engagement Studio similar to Flow? They look quite similar. Yes and no. I say that Flow, yeah, it does have a lot of similarities, and even to Marketing Cloud, with the fact that you can use things like decision splits or decisions based off of the data. You're using logic still, but you're using your logic to drive your marketing journeys, whereas Flow, you're looking at doing some sort of automation. So there's some similarities there, there's some differences, but knowing one, you might have an easier time learning another. Awesome questions. Bilal, have I missed any?
I think it's all there. There's an answer from Amber.
Awesome. Well, if anybody does have any other questions, then find me on social. I'm always happy to chat marketing automation. And I will be doing another session actually in about 20 minutes. So you can come and if you haven't gotten tired of listening to me talk yet, you can come and join me for Salesforce certifications in just a moment. And there's a ton of other great, awesome speakers on it today. So have a look around and enjoy.